On August 4, 2020, around 6 p.m, a fire broke out in Warehouse 12 at the port of Beirut, located in Lebanon. The fire ignited almost 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate, leading to the biggest non-nuclear explosion in the past century. Over 200 people were killed, more than 6,000 injured, and 300,000 were left homeless because of the massive damage to buildings and infrastructure. This is a pure representation of government negligence, with the public raising questions about how it could happen in the first place, and who was responsible. This is the 2020 Beirut Explosion. In 2012, an explosives production factory in Mozambique, Africa, placed an order for 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate to be used in manufacturing commercial explosives, which are commonly used in mining and construction. The chemical company responsible for the production of the ammonium nitrate is located in Georgia, United States. However, the name of the company remains undocumented in public reports, probably to prevent any connection between the company and the explosion. After the production of the ammonium nitrate was finished, a cargo boat named MV Rosas was sent to deliver the shipment to Mozambique. The vessel's reported owner was a Russian businessman named Igor Grekushkin, who would later make headlines worldwide as the man responsible for the Beirut explosion. In September 2013, the ammonium nitrate was finally scheduled for delivery and loaded on board the MV Rosas at the port of Batumi in Georgia. The cargo boat was carrying 10 crew members, the captain, and some heavy machinery. The crew, mostly Ukrainian and Russian, expected a smooth 3 to 4 week voyage to Mozambique. However, this trip would soon turn into a nightmare. Igor, who lived in Cyprus at the time, was not your ideal businessman. He was facing financial difficulties with the cargo ship, including unpaid port fees and debt to the crew members, resulting in poor management. This was not a good look for a cargo ship carrying almost 3,000 tons of explosives. It would only be a matter of time before disaster would strike, and it did. En route to Mozambique, the ship would make a necessary stop at the port of Beirut in Lebanon to take care of technical problems the ship was facing. There, they would also pick up more cargo. This was done to maximise profitability on each voyage. However, the crew would never make it to shore. The cargo ship stopped at the port, but before the crew members could leave the vessel, the Rosas was stopped and inspected by local port authorities due to safety concerns regarding the ship's condition and the inability of the owner, Igor Grekushkin, to pay the port fees and other associated costs. After inspection and learning what the cargo ship was carrying, it was deemed unseaworthy. The vessel and its crew were detained and forbidden to leave the ship under any circumstances. Little did they know that, because of the detainment, the crew would be stranded on the ship for the next 10 months. During these long months, the crew remains aboard the Rosas, where they face increasingly difficult living conditions, with limited access to food, water, and other necessities. After a couple of months, the crew makes several appeals for help, contacting their families, embassies, and international organisations. In July, after 9 months, the embassies of Ukraine and Russia became involved, along with international shipping federations, working to negotiate a solution for the crew's release. In August 2014, after extensive negotiations and legal interventions, the issues preventing the crew from leaving were finally resolved. They left the ship with the assistance of their embassies and international crew welfare organisations, and were finally transported to their home countries. However, the ship remains at the port, and the 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate is transported to the harbour for storage. There, it would stay for the next 6 years, in Warehouse 12. Igor was forced to abandon the Rosas because of financial difficulties and ceased ownership. Between 2015 and 2018, the ship sank due to lack of maintenance and upkeep, but the ammonium nitrate was still at the port. It was packed in large sacks and left in the warehouse, which was not equipped to safely store such a dangerous chemical. Over the years, Various port officials and experts raised alarms about the dangers posed by the improperly stored ammonium nitrate. These warnings included concerns about potential theft, as well as catastrophic risk of explosion. Despite these warnings, no effective action was taken to dispose of or relocate the material safely. During this period, Lebanon was also experiencing political instability and economic difficulties, which further complicated the ability of authorities to address non-immediate crises like the stored ammonium nitrate. It was only a matter of time before disaster would happen, and it did. On August 4, 2020, workers in Warehouse 12 were doing welding repairs on a gap in the warehouse door. Nearby the welding site, there were combustible materials, including fireworks and other flammable substances, which were also improperly stored in the same warehouse. It is believed that sparks from the welding ignited these materials. Once ignited, the fire quickly spread throughout the warehouse, reaching the stored ammonium nitrate. Despite the presence of firefighters and emergency response teams who were dispatched to combat the blaze, the fire had reached the ammonium nitrate, and it was too late. The intense heat from the fire likely caused the ammonium nitrate to destabilize, leading to a massive explosion. The explosion generated a shockwave that devastated large parts of Beirut, causing widespread destruction, killing 200 people and injuring 6,000 more. After the shockwave, over 300,000 people were left homeless. Lebanon was already facing a severe economic crisis due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The explosion only increased these issues, causing billions of dollars in damages at a time when the country was struggling with massive public debt and economic instability. The Lebanese government faced immediate backlash for the mismanagement and neglect that led to the explosion. An investigation was launched to determine responsibility, including multiple local officials in charge of the port's management. Several port officials were detained and charged in connection with the explosion, including the port's general manager and the head of Lebanese customs. The explosion caused widespread protests against systemic corruption. Within a week of the blast, Prime Minister Hassan Diab and his cabinet resigned due to public pressure. The investigation into the explosion has faced numerous obstacles, including accusations of political interference, a lack of transparency, and slow progress. These issues have led to widespread public dissatisfaction and calls for an international investigation. The explosion has increased political instability in Lebanon. The government's inability to effectively address the aftermath and rebuild public trust has posed a significant challenge. Igor Grakushkin was placed under investigation and appeared on headlines worldwide, being criticized for abandoning his own ship filled with explosives. However, Lebanese officials and the management of the Beirut port received more attention after they were detained by local authorities. Following the explosion, international aid poured into Lebanon, providing emergency medical teams, supplies, and reconstruction funds. However, long-term recovery has been hindered by systemic problems within the Lebanese state. The Beirut port explosion serves as a harsh reminder of the consequences of negligence and corruption when managing critical infrastructure. For now, Lebanon rebuilds and heals. Thank you for watching.